Hey guys, welcome to Cape and Cowl Café. I'm Nemo, and today we're going to be talking about Dispatch. All the episodes are out now. I've been playing it over the last few weeks, and I have enjoyed it immensely, so let's talk about it. If you guys enjoyed the video at any point today, I'd really appreciate if you hit that like and subscribe button, but let's just hop right into this. Alright, so Dispatch is a brand new superhero storytelling game that's made by Ad Hoc Studio. It's in a Telltale style, but it's actually not by Telltale Games. After the company was dissolved, back in 2018, a bunch of ex-employees and some, Telltale veterans banded together and they made a new game studio, and so this is their first major project, and I think it is a banger start for their company. And just so you know, guys, there will be spoilers for this video. I'm talking about the entire game, all the episodes. So if you haven't played it yet, go do so, come back. It's worth it, trust me. Alright, so the game starts out with you taking control of Robert Robertson, a former superhero who has been forced into retirement due to the destruction of his suit. And he comes across an opportunity to work for a company called SDN, the Superhero Dispatch Network. It's kind of like a subscriber-based emergency service where, people can kind of call in their emergencies and, superheroes will come and kind of take care of it for them. So Robert has the opportunity to work as a dispatcher. So he's behind the computer, he's behind the phones, and he's kind of, controlling which superheroes respond to which emergencies. But the interesting thing about Robert is he's not in control of a team of superheroes. He is in charge of a team of ex-supervillains. So it's kind of like a Suicide Squad, kind of situation. It's really interesting. Now, the main gameplay loop for this experience is the dispatch system. You are presented with a map, and you have different emergencies popping up on the screen, and then you have a roster of heroes at the bottom. And each of those heroes have different stats, they have weaknesses and different strengths, and you have to kind of work out which heroes will be best sent to each emergency. And so, you can succeed in the scenario, you can fail. There's, puzzles, and, it's pretty simple. It's not too hard, but it does work your brain a little bit, especially when you have to manage so many different resources at once. I do think it was pretty fun. However, it can be a little tedious at times where you just want to get through, the gameplay loop because you just want to get back to the story and progress what's going on out there, because it is infinitely more interesting. But not to say that, the gameplay is, boring. The dialogue from all these characters is just always so entertaining, and it's just always hilarious. Now, my favorite thing about this game is it takes itself seriously. Like, it is kind of a satirical offshoot of the superhero genre, kind of like The Boys or Invincible. But, while The Boys is kind of just like, taking a big piss on the superhero genre and making fun of it any chance it gets, and Invincible is just kind of depressing. Like, this is a normal superhero experience. Like, they're not trying to make fun of superheroes, and they're just kind of having fun with it, Like, they're not trying to make some kind of huge statement. It's just trying to be a good story with some good characters that you can really connect with and care about. Alright, now let's talk about some of the characters. Starting off with Robert, Mecha Man. I think Aaron Paul did an amazing job bringing this character to life and making him likable. And I think the thing that makes him likable is, he's not really timid. He's a strong, confident character, because they could have just as easily made this guy, kind of like a nerdy guy. He's constantly getting bullied by the supervillains he's in charge of, but no, Robert is like super confident. He doesn't take crap from anyone. He always has a comeback for something. He takes charge of whatever room he's in, and he just has that aura, Like, I don't think it would have been the same if his personality was closer to like Waterboy's. Like, because Robert is so confident, that confidence transfers to the player, and we feel more confident in the choices that we're making. Like, it's all about the power fantasy, and since this is a storytelling game, having the protagonist be someone who is always in control is just a really good thing to have in a game like this. I think it's perfect. And pretty much all of the Z-Team villain characters were just wonderful. Just, there was a few standouts. Obviously, Moist Critical as Sonar was just hilarious.
You gonna eat those Twinks?
I think Gollum was pretty good. Jacksepticeye's punch-up was super entertaining. I found him hilarious. And Flambe was pretty funny, and Prism and Coop. Like, most of these characters are supposed to piss you off at certain points, and they became a little more likable throughout the story. I think Flambe's, karaoke scene was just hilarious, but most of them did what they were supposed to do. They did their job. But I think the standout side character, outside of the love interest, has to be Trackstar, voiced by Jeffrey Wright. He played Commissioner Gordon in The Batman. He was just so funny. And I mean, I loved the way that you could interact with him in this game. And I wish that they did explore him and Robert's, kind of history and backstory a little bit more. But I was satisfied with what we got. And I was honestly terrified, after he collapsed. I thought he was dead. I was so mad. Like, I'm going to kill Shroud. Like, no. Trackstar's the GOAT. All right, now we have to talk about the two love interest options. I was always on Team Blonde Blazer, okay? I was not falling for the Invisigal propaganda, okay? I am not one to fall for the, I can fix her mentality, that I think that's stupid. It doesn't make sense. And I saw right through Invisigal from day one. I knew that she was a traitor. I knew something was up. And the thing is, like, the game really pushes you to pursue her. Like, they want you to go down that path because you have so many more interactions with her, and they're always shoving, her in your face. And like, you have that intro scene where, she has that dream. I wasn't falling for it, okay? I am not weak-minded. I knew that Blazer was the right choice from the get-go. And so, I mean, I did get the double good ending where I ended up with Blazer, but, Invisigal didn't end up becoming a villain because I was nice to her. I didn't want her to, fail in the team. I just, it's kind of unprofessional, starting up a romance with somebody who's, beneath you in the workplace. It's kind of unethical. That's why I went for Blazer. She's way better. Now, besides the main romance options in this game, the other, I guess, big choice, besides like maybe cutting Sonar or Coop, was deciding whether or not to kill Shroud at the end. And, most of the time in games like this, I would have a harder time making that choice because, I would always think like, oh, what would Superman do? Or, what would Batman do? Nah, the second Shroud picked up that dog, he was done for. I was not gonna let that slide. I beat that man to a pulp and I enjoyed it. So satisfying to watch the life drain from his dog-hating eyes. Screw Shroud, that guy's a prick. I'm glad he's dead. I was hitting him like Lex Luthor and Superman with the 1A! 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 So I mean, overall, I really enjoyed this game. I thought it was just a nice, perfect little experience, and something that I really think worked in its favor was its episodic structure, okay? Like, having everyone discuss their theories and like what's gonna happen week by week really drives the hype and kind of stretches out, how long people enjoy this thing for. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people want like a season 2. Like, I do think that the story kind of had a nice little conclusion, but obviously there are some open ends. If you chose to romance Blonde Blazer, we didn't really get to see a lot of that, so you're going to want to see what happens next. Trackstar still has the gem, he still has his powers, so what's going to go on with that? Is Royd going to become a superhero? What's going to happen with the Red Ring, based off of, if you decided to kill Shroud or not? There's so many questions, and I hope a season 2 happens as well. And I mean, performance-wise, this game ran amazingly well. Like, I didn't notice really anything. I mean, it's not really that intense of a game. I was running it off of Steam, but the only thing that I really noticed was, sometimes if I was paused for, quite a while, when I unpaused, there was like just a tiny bit of lag, but honestly, whatever, I am so used to having new games come out and I'm just disappointed by terrible performance. So this was a nice, breath of fresh air, even though it's not really that intense of a game. But yeah, really enjoyed this game. I thought it was amazing. Would highly recommend. So I'm going to give Dispatch an 8.5 out of 10. It is worth it. Go play it. Alright guys, that's going to be about it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it all, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button. And if you played the game, drop in the comments below your thoughts and feelings. I want to hear them. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.